come, first serve. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah, a little bit. Just specifically about communism. I just saw your stream while just scrolling through.
All right, can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
I would prefer not to blast my name out on the internet. Do you mind if I just give you something different?
No, dog, just give a fake name. It's just so I know what to call you while we're talking.
Oh, that's fair. You could just call me Spike.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 27. And you could just... I'm a guy, he, him.
All right, no problem. And what did you want to talk about communism and capitalism?
Okay, so all I saw was like your little thing on top, right? And it just says like blanket, at least based on what I saw. It looks like you're just saying that communism is better than capitalism.
I am, yes.
Okay, so my grandfather came to the U.S. from the Soviet Union.
Okay.
He fled communism.
Oh, well, he
so
fled socialism.
I guess I kind of have a unique view on understanding some of the errors with communism. But like with capitalism,
he would have left a socialist. He would have left a socialist state. The USSR was socialist. They never achieved communism. So he would have left specifically if he left when like what about time did he leave? Because that would tell us what type of socialism they were engaging in.
1949. That's when he fled the Soviet Union.
Oh, he left it right after the Soviets beat the Nazis. Okay.
Yeah. He was actually part of one of the Guards armies, and then he fled after the war because he was terrified. All of his friends were getting arrested, persecuted, and everything in between. So he ran while he could.
Okay. He left Stalinism. Okay.
Right, but if you look back into history, right, every time any nation has attempted communism, and I kind of caught the tail end of your debate, so I know how you feel about calling any country that practices, I'm going to put this in quotes because that's how you say it, like communism, the way that you have described when I caught your last one. It's like, okay, but just hear me out. Any state that has tried this, at least in the modern era, we're talking like from the late 1800s till now, has failed. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
because the core flaw is human greed. Human greed will always destroy it.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree on a few. One, I wouldn't call anything from the 1800s and up a modern era. I would say like we're looking at like 1940s and up. And basically every communist every communist experiment since the 1940s was destroyed from the inside out by the United States and CIA interference, almost all at the behest of Henry Kissinger. If we want to look at like how, like, we can look at the faults of Stalin or Mao and go like, hey, these two big examples we're not a huge fan of, which I don't know that I'm 100% a fan of Stalin and Mao as well. This doesn't mean that like there weren't things that happened. Like if we look at the life expectancy from pre-Stalin Russia to post-Stalin Russia, it shot up. Life expectancy prior to Stalin and the socialists taking over, like life expectancy in Russia was fucking nothing, right? That's because they were being destroyed by the monarchy in Russia prior to this. This is just like the history.
Right. So my family is historically serfs. So we come from Siberia, specifically Siberian Tatar, which is primarily a Muslim region, but we were Eastern Orthodox. This is just, again, going back in the history of all this. And I mean, so my family was far enough removed. I keep saying we, like I was alive back then. I wasn't. I only know the stories that have been passed down. So it's like they were removed from the main areas of Russia. Like I don't know if you know this, but like Russia, it's kind of funny in the sense that everything is basically draw a line north-south of Moscow and move west. Everything east of there is just, there's not much.
Again, if we're just looking at like the USSR strictly, like this isn't telling us why communism is bad. This is telling us why, like if we're going under the predication that the USSR was bad, this would only tell us that the USSR was bad. It's not telling us anything about communism or how communism works. It would just tell us
okay,
one.
So do you believe
hold on, just really quickly. And the USSR had a lot of challenges because they were constantly at war with the US specifically. Like they were at war with us for like a long time. So like they were a bit more militaristic. They were a bit more They were a bit less lackadaisical when it came to putting people into like political prisons, but like we do that too at like the drop of a hat. So like if I'm going to analyze communism versus capitalism, I'm going to analyze the ideologies of both and look at which ideology is specifically, in my view, the more ethical ideology. And to me, that's going to be communism every time.
Okay, so I think you and I might be able to actually agree on something here if I'm picking up what you're laying down properly. And if I'm mishearing you, please feel free to step in and correct me. But I've always said the same thing about communism. Communism as an idea is great. The idea is everyone is working together to benefit everybody. But unfortunately, it's just not a realistic possibility. It's one of those like fantasy things that you wish could be a case, but it's not.
We
and unfortunately, it just can't.
For the bulk of human history. What do you mean?
What do you mean by the bulk of human history?
For the majority of human history, we lived tribally. We lived communistically. We did not live under capitalism. Capitalism is like really new in terms of like how long humans have been around for.
Well, not necessarily. Money has existed all the way back to even the Sumerians. I mean, we found coins and other types of financial trade going way back.
Money.
I mean, gold has always been used as a sense of currency.
Yeah, currency, gold doesn't inherently mean it's capitalism, though, right? But again,
capitalism is the exchange of goods and services.
No, capitalism
at its
is
core value.
No, capitalism is the privatization over the means of production.
Privatization over the means of production.
Socialism has the exchange of goods and services for money. Socialism can have that, right?
Socialism. Can you repeat what you just said?
Socialism can have the exchange of goods and services for money, but it's just about who owns the means of production. Under socialism or communism, it would be communally, like the working class own that means of production. Under capitalism, it's privatized. It's owned by the owner class or the bourgeoisie.
Right. As I haven't heard the term bourgeoisie in years. You just took me back. So, all right. So, do you mind if I ask you, in what way do you think that communism would succeed in the modern era? Like, why is it better?
Well,
like, what problems would be eliminated by it? What are the benefits
of wanting
to go that way?
The ability for people to hoard resources in order to further their own personal wealth at the expense of others. So, like, right now, we can use a direct example of, like, Nestle, right? When there was a drought in California and everybody's struggling for water, Nestle was using water up the ass. They didn't care because they just paid off these fines and used as much water as they wanted, right? Capitalism allows this.
Well, see, I point to government corruption, not capitalism.
Capitalism leads to government corruption because it leads to cronyism, which is when businesses can pay the government to do whatever they want. That's capitalism, like, at its core. That's part of.
Well, see, that's why you have to have a check and balance system, and unfortunately, as time goes on, it seems like some of those institutions are being eroded, and it's up to the people to take it back. That's the whole point of democracy.
The problem would be that as long as capitalists maintain the wealth, they will maintain that control because they can just pay off anybody in the government to do whatever they want. Like, look at Elon Musk.
That's not necessarily
Elon Musk
true.
literally
it's the same
bought
reason
his
why
way.
we own firearms.
Wait, but no, look at Elon Musk bought his way into a government position. Bought his way into it. Right? Now he's going to get to
debate.
He's going to get
I'm not willing to debate anything relating to the 2024 election just because
I'm not debating
as a historian and student of history, it's too recent, and so I'm not going to debate it because there's probably information we just don't know.
I'm not debating you don't. Do you think there's information missing about Elon Musk buying his way into a cabinet position?
I didn't say that. All I said is I'm not going to debate anything relating to the 2024 election. I actually don't debate anything relating to an election past Bush's second election. Even Bush's second election, I don't debate it.
But then how?
As a student of history, things come to light years and years and years after that usually aren't considered in the moment, and there's also recency bias. So I just don't talk about it.
Okay. My whole point is that you can buy your way into office and then use your monetary power to wield political power. This, again, would be crony capitalism or corporatism.
Right, but then it's the job of the people to see that isn't allowed. That's why there are elections.
It's hard to do that when capitalists that also buy the media and convince you by buying media. Like for a fake example, I won't use a real world example, But like if billionaire capitalists bought like a social media company and then used that social media company to spread propaganda, especially using like fictional AI models to spread fake things, it's going to be hard for the people to discern reality from fiction. And then those people tend to then vote in because they've been propagandized. And then you have the corporation still doing what the corporate. I mean, there's a reason why everybody thought that communism was bad, but the CIA literally internally was like, yeah, the Soviets have collective leadership. It's just the American people are wrong about it, and we're happy they're wrong about it because it helps us be able to do what we do, and we're not going to correct that information. Like,
I
this
would
has
not
happened forever.
lean so far as calling anything relating to the Soviets collective leadership. I mean,
that's funny. The CIA
the state corruption of the Soviet Union is just a book in of its own.
Okay, the CIA marked that under Stalin there was collective leadership in the Soviet government. You would have to take that up with the CIA, who I think, you know, as a group not wanting to spread that, I think it makes sense that they hid that information until 2008 when it was leaked. Not leaked, but when it was finally released out of what's the word when they don't let you see stuff like in government papers? What's that word? I don't remember.
Oh, the FOIA requests?
No, not even that.
Is that what you're referencing?
No. It's when something is redacted, but only like certain people can see it. I don't fucking remember, dude. Who cares?
Oh, the departmentalized top secret.
It was declassified. Thank you, guys. When the documents were finally declassified and they had documents and they were like, oh yeah, there's definitely collective leadership in the USSR, but most Americans don't know that, and we're happy they don't know that. There's
well, I mean, the CIA also the CIA is also known to do a lot of crazy things that don't make a lot of sense or aren't even legitimate things to consider. I mean, there was a CIA memo way back talking about a ghost ship and how they think they need to investigate this ghost ship.
Yeah, but the CIA saying good things about the USSR goes directly against what they were doing at the time, which is why
right,
it was
but it depends on the context.
The 50s
this is just a memo from one staffer to another. This doesn't mean anything. I would personally want to see the document myself before I'm going to go anywhere on that one.
You can look it up. It's right online on the CIA's website. But again, if I'm just analyzing communism versus capitalism, communism does not allow somebody to own a resource necessary for someone to live and then sell them back that resource. Communism does not destroy the global south.
Okay, I have a question about that.
Sure.
Let's say you, so I caught like really the tail end of what you were talking about with your last person. So you were talking about something about how you own the house but not the land the house is on.
Yeah, that's a way that could work under a communist system. Like a way that it could work is that the community owns the land, but then just gives you like a 120-year lease for the land. So your house is on that land and you have like a 120-year lease. And then at the end of that lease, some people say that at the end of that lease, we would then give your next of kin the right to re-up that lease. And if not, if they don't want to live there, then we would give that land and home to somebody else.
So who's doing the actual leasing of that?
The community.
The community.
Mm-hmm.
So what? They just get in a big group and they all just take a vote on who gets to get a lease? I don't understand how that would work.
I'm a council communist, so I believe that we would create worker councils based on people's votes. We would vote in worker councils. What it would most likely be is if we're moving from the system we have now, the house you're in or the place you're in, we would give you the option to stay in that place. And if you want a different place, we would probably do it based on a lottery system. And you could put in a lottery for another place, and like whoever wins that lottery gets dibs.
But what entitles someone else to something that I worked so hard to achieve? I spent my entire early life busting my ass for, I don't know if I'm not allowed to swear in your stream, I apologize. Well, some people are all, but I spent my entire early life busting my behind with literally no benefits to earn where I'm at right now. I grew up with nothing. I ran away with home at 17 years old. I had nothing.
You realize you wouldn't have had to do any of that.
I worked my tail off to get this place. Why is someone else entitled to this? I worked for it.
Wait, again, this is just selfishness, right? You wouldn't have to have worked for it.
How is it selfishness, though? I worked for it.
Because you didn't have to. You were forced to work for it because you live in a system in where if you don't work or if you don't do what the capitalists want, you starve or you go homeless or you go thirsty.
So then why would I do anything except sit on my behind and play video games all day?
Because you do have to do something in order to exist in the community. Why would you?
No, I'm talking about in this communist society. Why would I work?
Let me ask you a question. If your neighbor's house burns down, and
could you please answer my question first? Why would I work in this communist society if I just get given a house?
I'm going to show you how this answers your question. How this is going to answer your question. If your neighbor's house burns down, and they go over to your house and they beg you, hey, can you help me just move some stuff, please? Like, I'm struggling here. Are you going to say no?
Well, I don't really have neighbors, but in a hypothetical scenario, if I do, because I live out in the country, I would say absolutely I would help you. Why not?
There you go. That's why you would help in a communist system, because people are your neighbor. And if you help, they help. The whole thing that Marx says is from each according to their ability. So you're only going to have to work according to what you can do, to each according to their need, where they're going to give you what you need to survive. Why wouldn't I help others? Like, this is my thing. When people say that, like, communism makes people, no, capitalism is what breeds laziness. Capitalism breeds greed, because now everybody is in this mindset where I have to do for me, because in capitalism, you're in competition with everybody else. Wealth is a finite resource. Money is a finite resource at any given time. In order for capitalists to maintain their wealth, they have to take it from somebody else. In order to have a bunch of money,
that's not necessarily true. Wealth is created as well.
Wealth is created only in the sense that, like, money is printed.
No, that's not entirely true, because you create wealth if you start a business and you create a product. Yes, because people will buy that product, which allows you to then turn around, and you're going to build more factories and hire more workers that put more money in those people's pockets, and the Fed prints the money to match the growth of the wealth. At least that's what they're supposed to do. The problem is that recently they've just been printing money and not making it.
You just did the thing. When it comes to hiring people, you are not paying people what that labor is actually worth. In order for a business to operate, they have to pay labor less than what it's worth. Otherwise, there is no profit.
That's not entirely true. How do nonprofits exist by that logic?
Nonprofits exist because they do not profit. That's why they're called non-profits. They don't make a profit.
Right, but you're saying, though, that I would have to, if I was a nonprofit, if I was running a nonprofit organization, I would have to pay that person less than what the labor is worth so I could profit? Or did I mishear?
If you're not running a nonprofit, if you're running a for-profit business, in order to profit, you have to pay the labor less than what it's actually worth.
But there's a certain amount of risk applied, right? So, like, if I decide I want to start a business tomorrow, and my business is making what I think is revolutionary technology, say I find a way to make a lightsaber in my house, and I think this is going to do miracles for the logging, or for whatever uses it could be used for, which, let's be real here, it's probably war, but let's pretend that there isn't that. So I'm going to take the risk of investing my time, my money, and my resources and my skills into putting together a factory to make these. Now, I put all that risk forward. If the business fails, my employees just go get another job tomorrow. But I'm out millions, and that's on me. Do?
If your business
I'm taking the risk. Shouldn't I take the benefit?
If your business fails and you go bankrupt, what happens to you? What do you have to do?
Well, unfortunately, I lose everything.
And what do you have to do?
Get a job, start over.
So the only risk is you becoming the people that you have to hire. That's the risk. Your risk is becoming one of the workers.
Everything that you've accrued.
I don't care about you losing everything you accrued. Your risk is becoming a worker.
Right. You don't care.
Yes, why would I?
That's being selfish, though. Shouldn't you care about other people?
No, because all the stuff that you accrued, you only accrued by paying people less than what their labor is worth. So no, I don't care about you.
Don't even, but you don't know that.
Yes, I do, because this is literally economics 101. In order to profit, you can't pay someone what their labor is actually worth, because then there will be no profit margin. So you're saying that what should happen is that someone should take the risk of founding a new restaurant, nobody should take
and that they think it's going to provide
nobody should take
revolutionary things.
There would be no businesses,
and that they should pay their waiters and servers exactly the profits that are made from the table they wait.
Yes, there should be.
And that they should benefit entirely. Meanwhile, the person who put up all the capital for that gets nothing.
Yep.
What do they get?
Thank you, Boo.
A pat on the back.
Well, they wouldn't do it. No one would do that.
Great.
No one would do that.
That's wonderful. I don't think we need businesses. When we're looking at a communist society, we're not looking, I don't want a business that exists so it can profit. I only want businesses.
Business has been one of the things that creates new products. No one would have made my computer monitor I'm looking at if it wasn't for a business.
What? No? People create shit all the time. Most of the best innovations in like human history come from human laziness. It's because we don't want to do stuff. So we invent stuff to make jobs easier. But when it comes to
that's the definition of science.
What? Okay.
That's the definition of science. It's creating things to make life easier.
Okay, so we don't need business to do that. We don't need capitalism to do that. In fact, one of the societies that innovated and moved like the most was the USSR. The USSR went from non-industrialized to industrialized faster than any country in the fucking world. That wasn't capitalism.
On the bodies of millions, unfortunately.
Was it capitalism?
May their souls rest in peace.
It wasn't capitalism.
Say again? But at least with capitalism, I have a choice. I could choose to go work as a garbage man, which is actually something I used to want to do. Or I can choose to join the military. I can choose to work as a chef. That was my past occupation.
Bro, you don't
I can choose to work in security. I can choose to be a police officer.
You don't have a choice in capitalism. No, you don't. No, you don't. Most people, the average person is locked into the job they're in because they do not have the capital to keep themselves afloat while looking for other work. Because if you quit that job, you starve. There's a reason why people are stuck in dead-end jobs forever and can't get out of them because they don't have the luxury. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Anyone living paycheck to paycheck does not have the luxury of just quitting their job and finding a new one. And most of these people who are working, especially people working 2 jobs, right, don't have the time to go find a new one. What are they going to?
You're blaming all of it on just the capitalist system instead of looking at other factors. There's a lot of reasons why over the past 2 decades people have less and less money to work with.
Because capital
that are not directly just communism would magically fix it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, without capitalism, I wouldn't have 90% of things in my office.
Hold on. Explain to me why profits have been going up consistently in almost every industry, yet worker pay has remained stagnant and has plateaued. It's because capitalists don't have to pay you. They're not forced. There's no force. The only thing forcing them to pay you is if the state marks off what the fuck, dude? I can't think of words today. Minimum wage. Like if the state marks off a minimum wage, that's the only way. But again,
the problem is the companies just leave and go somewhere else.
Bro, they're still paying people here. What do you mean?
If you raise the minimum wage, they're just going to go. There's no reason to be here. I mean, that's one of the reasons why China has taken so much of the industry that used to be here. They can get away with paying a worker $1.
No, this is not a good argument. First of all, China doesn't pay the workers $1. This is not a good argument. The reason why it's not a good argument is because even without raising the minimum wage, these companies still go overseas because it's cheaper. Even without raising the minimum wage, they hire undocumented immigrants. Because China has a lower cost of living, so they don't have to pay. CCP? Because China has a lower cost of living, so they don't have to pay their people as much. Their cost of living there is lower.
But their quality of life is significantly lower as well. Their quality of living.
I mean, wait. Based on what metric?
Well, you can just literally Google it. So allow me to pull this up real quick. Just recently, so my background, by the way, I was in military intelligence. So one of the things that I used to do all day was study this kind of stuff about specifically possible foreign allies. So China, for example, have you not seen the videos come out of the thousands of people sleeping in these old underground war shelters? Lacking light, water.
We have hundreds of thousands of people living in fucking squalor in the U.S. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking by what metric are we saying?
But even if you're poor in the U.S., you're still doing better than poor in China.
What?
100%. We have social welfare programs that China just doesn't offer.
That not every poor person is able to get on.
There are housing programs. Bro, they don't have that stuff in China.
This is the most disingenuous shit. You think that do you think every poor person in the United States is on food stamps? No. Not even a.
But they have the option to. If you're not employed, and you're homeless, then you will be on food stamps if you choose it.
No, you won't. You know what you need to apply for food stamps? An address.
Yes, I was on it when I was younger. I'm fully aware of what it requires.
Great. So you know that you need an address to apply for these things.
That's not true. When I was homeless, I had food stamps.
Oh my God, the survivorship bias is crazy, bro.
When I was homeless, I had food stamps. I just put the address of a family member I used to have, and I kept the card on me. They don't mail anything there, and you can go to the office if you need to do anything.
Again. Wait, first of all, they absolutely mail your EBT card to your home. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I almost said email. They mail the EBT card to the address you put on file.
Great. So if you don't have an address,
you can go get a PO box for like $2 a month too.
Great.
Sorry, say again.
So again, this is just fucking nonsense. When it comes to the poor in the United States, we have literal tent cities now where people live in squalor, where they die on the streets due to the elements, where they go hungry, where they're homeless, where they're overdosing. We have all of this. So if you go, well, China has this, but we also have this, it's a disingenuous argument. We also have it. So when I ask you, what's the metric?
But if you're poor in the United States, you're better off than anywhere else being poor in terms of Asia, especially CCP.
By what metric?
You have social welfare programs.
They do too.
They don't have that there.
Yes, they do.
The CCP
China has a social welfare
program
yes.
that prevents their people from starving.
First of all, what's the rate? What's the rate of home ownership in China?
My understanding is extremely low.
Bro, it's 90%. 90%
by
of people
the
in China,
CCP's metric or other metrics?
Other metrics. 90% of people in China own homes. Like, is it like, why do people, bro, what? Low? China's one of the highest home ownership rates of anywhere. But yes, China has social programs.
Thank you, Boo.
So how do you explain the sweatshops in China?
How do you explain the sweatshops in the U.S.?
They're a communist state, at least self-proclaimed. And in this scenario, right?
They're a communist party. They would be like a market socialist state if we're looking at their economic system. But if you want to go band for band, how do we explain the sweatshops and the slavery that goes on in the United States?
I don't understand. Anyone's a slave. You can choose not to work.
I'm sorry. We have literal forced slavery in this country. It's called prison. They force you to work.
Oh, you're talking about what do they call it?
About slavery.
I know the nickname for it is like prison corp or something like that, but
well, it's slavery. It's forced working.
My understanding is that they're not forced to work, but they can choose it, and then they get a commissary pay from it.
No. Like you can look at states like Texas. Texas pays its prisoners $0.00, and you can be forced to work in Texas. They can force you to work. Look at the California wildfires when they forced prisoners to work there. Like, right, this is forced labor. These would be sweatshops that they work in when they're working. Like,
oh, well, that's horrible. I don't think they should be forced to work.
But this is my thing. When people go.
But well, you're just talking about prisons, though. The average everyday citizen, once again, you have choices of your life.
Yeah, the average everyday citizen in China is also not a sweatshop worker.
Say again?
The average everyday citizen in China is not a sweatshop worker.
Correct. Most of them are actually rural farmers.
Yeah, so again, we keep saying China's bad because X, but we do X here, and we're not holding that same weight for us. Like, this is what's frustrating about when we talk about communism versus capitalism.
Okay, so I want to go back a little bit on the same topic. When you were talking about, one of the things you mentioned were the tent cities. Where are those tent cities primarily located?
In warm climate states. So Florida has a bunch, California has a bunch. Texas has a bunch. Places where the climate stays warm year long tend to have the most rates of homelessness because the climate is better.
Correct. But wouldn't you say that, to a certain degree, that some people who are homeless choose that lifestyle? I didn't say all. I said some.
Sure, a small amount of people may choose that lifestyle. Sure.
Okay. So here's the thing. The United States government and state governments have innumerous amounts of programs that are directed to assisting these people who are homeless, these people who don't have basic necessities. What specifically would your idea of a communist state change that would make all these people not homeless?
Do you know how many homeless people exist in the United States?
I know it's a lot. I know that there's a little over 200,000 homeless veterans right now.
600,000 in total. Estimated. Maybe
Wow,
up to
actually compared to
700,000
population, that's not a lot at all.
Uh-huh. Do you know how many unoccupied homes we have in the United States right now? Like homes that
I
nobody
know
is
there's
living
more.
in. 16 million. You know how I would end
Yeah, that
homelessness?
sounds about right.
You know how I would end homelessness tomorrow? I would give them homes. Here's a house.
Who's
Have
paying
fun.
for it?
We will. I will pay for it. We will all pay for it. Just like we'll pay for everybody else's home. Why
I'm
not?
paying for
Yes. And we would all pay for
Joe
yours. Yes.
Joe over there who
Yes.
likes to smoke crack all day to
Yes,
go
and
live in a
Joe,
house for free.
The amount of homeless people that abuse drugs is only about 20%. So most of these people are not drug abusers. That is just a fucked up thing to say, right? That's you just demonizing homeless people.
Okay, once again, even if it's only 26%, that means I'm still paying for somebody to go into a house that they did not earn. They did not work for that. They did not accomplish anything to get it. They just got handed it to them.
Yeah, I think people
So
should just
why
be
would
given homes
I do anything that earns the finances to pay for that?
because we would be doing the same for you.
Okay, well then I'd choose to do nothing. I'm just going to sit in my house and relax and go hunting and play video games.
Great. You admit you're a bad person. Okay. Fair.
But the point is
If you're a
that
bad
human
person,
greed will
you're a bad
always
person.
destroy it.
Again, I don't think humans are inherently greedy. You are, because capitalism has told you that in order for someone to benefit, you have
Why
to
are
be
you saying
doing,
I'm greedy?
because you've just said that you wouldn't help people. So you're greedy.
I didn't say I wouldn't help people.
Yes,
I
you
just
did.
said I would rather sit in my house and do my own stuff.
Yes, because you're greedy and you're selfish. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so then what are you doing to help?
Well, we live in capitalism right now, but I do a lot of stuff.
Oh, all right. So we're both greedy right now then.
What? I don't, wait. I'm greedy. How? How am I greedy right now?
Well, I asked you if you're greedy.
Yeah, I'd say I'm not greedy.
You're not. So what are you
No.
doing to change the situation?
Education.
Are you giving up your home? You're streaming from somewhere. That microphone you're talking on could have been used to pay
Why would I
for
give up
somebody
my
to get a
personal-
house
why would
for
I
rent
give up
for
my
a day.
personal home? So just confirming,
What?
because I'm not personally fixing the entire system, I'm greedy.
No,
Like, homie, you
but
just don't
if
have
you're
an
going to
argument
call
now.
me
You
greedy
just- no,
because I don't
you
want to
have-
change the
no,
situation,
No,
what are
I
you
called
doing to change
greedy-
it?
No, I called you greedy because if the situation was changed, you would want to do nothing because you don't think these people deserve anything. That's why.
I didn't
Because
say
you-
they didn't
yes,
deserve
yes, you did.
anything.
Yes, you did. Yes,
I
you
did not say that.
That's what was
I
implied
said they
by your
didn't do
language, yeah.
anything to deserve it. I didn't say I felt they didn't deserve
This
it.
is what's implied by your language, yeah.
If you implied that, I apologize. It was not meant to be
Well, you
implied that way.
that. You said
At the end of the
I said,
day,
when we said how do
how
we pay for
are
this, I
things
said we all
going to get
we all pay
done?
for it.
Why would I go shovel poop? Why would you go shovel poop?
If there's the poop needs to get shoveled.
Right, but why would you do that if you just have everything?
Because the poop needs to get shoveled. And the only reason I have everything is because people are shoveling the poop. So because
Well,
I have
what
stuff,
does
because they're shoveling
this
the poop,
communist
I'm
utopia
going to go
do
help them shovel
when
the poop.
a majority or even 25% don't do it?
I believe the majority will do it because that's how human history worked. And they did do it for a long time until capitalism convinced people that you only need to do for yourself. You know why they convinced you that?
Again,
So they can sell you back
what?
shit that you deserve to have. That's why.
So one of my favorite analogies of capitalism
Can't wait.
is the hot dog stand. If you have a hot dog stand and I come up to you and I say, hey, I'd like a hot dog. Here's $1. When you give me the hot dog, I'm going to say thank you. And when I give you the $1, you're going to say thank you. The reason why is because I wanted the hot dog more than I wanted the $1. You wanted the $1 more than you wanted the hot dog. The idea behind capitalism is that it's an exchange. You and I are both happy in the negotiation.
Let me tell you how capitalism actually works. Here's how capitalism actually works. There's a lake, and that lake has all the fresh water in the town. And I come in as a capitalist, and I take all the fresh water. And I say, oh, you want fresh water? Buy it from me. That's how capitalism actually works. In fact, let's do a thought experiment really quickly. Let's do a thought experiment just to see where your head's at. Let's say me and you are on a plane, and the plane crashes on an island, and me and you are the only two people that survive that plane crash. However, when the plane crashes, I wake up before you do, so you're unconscious. Now, the only food on this island is coconuts, and the only water is one small freshwater
analogy was the
stream.
dumbest analogy I have heard in a good long while.
Now
Good job, caller.
Collect every coconut before you wake up, and I put a giant fence around the only freshwater source, and I found the only gun that was on the plane. So now you wake up and you're hungry and thirsty, and you say, oh, I want some food and some water. And I say, okay, do what I tell you to do, and then I'll give you food and water. Are you just gonna do what I tell you to do? Are you okay with that?
No, I'd die, because I'd rather live on my feet than die on my knees.
But why wouldn't you do the labor that I told you to so that I could pay you?
But you're not paying me.
Yeah, I'm paying you in food and water.
Yeah, but that's not what it is. That's the reason why money exists,
This is
though.
payment. Money
because
is just a stand-in
if I
for
build
the value of
tables
your
all
labor.
day, the
Money
bread
is
guy's
just a
going to get
stand-in-
sick and tired of
money
me
is
giving
just
him
a stand-in
15
for the
tables.
value. Money
So
is
money
just a,
acts
money
as
is just
that
a
in
stand-in.
between.
No, money is just a stand-in for the value of your labor. So the stand-in for the value of your labor now is food and water. That's it. So
That's
the
not
coconuts are
entirely true.
yes, it is. Money is a stand-in for the value of labor. Yes, it's 100% what money is.
No. The fact that it only equals food and water is not true.
Are you going to do the things I tell you to do for the food and water? Yes or no?
I'm either going to take it by force or die trying.
You're going to take it by force. Interesting. Why would you take it
Or
by
die
force?
trying.
Why would you try to take it by force?
Because there's one of you and one of me, and
Yeah,
we're in
but-
an isolated
why would you
scenario,
try to-
and it's about survival.
But I don't understand. I'm just engaging in capitalism. This is my property.
No, you're not, because there's
Yes,
no
I am.
exchange of good and
This
services.
is my the good. Yes, there is. The good is the coconuts and water. The service is you doing whatever I tell you to do. So I take the service you give me and exchange it for the good. So
no,
now,
because in the capitalist society, I have
no,
options.
all you did,
you
bro,
are not
all you
just
did,
one option.
All you did
That's a
was,
monopoly.
no, all you did was prove that you don't actually want
You
capitalism.
have a monopoly. That's not. That's not at all how that works.
Monopolies are capitalism. Fun fact.
Say again.
Monopolies are capitalism. Fun fact.
They are, unfortunately, a negative side effect of capitalism, but that's why you have a checks and balance system to prevent it.
It sounds to
What you
me
do is you
like
have-
you
You
understand.
have Big Brother down the street
It
who
sounds to me
finds out
like
that
you
you
don't
hoarded
like
all the coconuts
capitalism.
and comes and
You don't-
conks your head into
Uh-huh.
the frickin' tree to make you not hoard all the coconuts.
Okay, let's say we get visit. Let's say two people wake up before you, and we split the coconuts and water. So I have half the coconuts and water, and they have half the coconuts and water. And you wake up, and we say you can work for me, or you can work for this other guy. Now you have a choice. What are you gonna do?
But here's the thing. Let's say the other guy says, I only have to work for an hour to get my daily coconut and water, but you want me to work for 2 hours. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm just gonna keep.
No
eating
one's
my
going to come work
coconuts.
for
I'm
you.
just gonna keep eating my
Everyone's going to
coconuts
go
and
work for
water.
him. So what are you going to do?
No, you can go work for him. I still have enough coconuts and water to feed me for the rest of my life. So if you want to go just work for him, go ahead. I'm asking what you would do. I don't need your labor. I just want your labor in exchange for the goods that I have. I want your service in exchange for my goods. So are you going to go work for the other guy then?
But this isn't a business at that point.
What are you
You're
talking
not. You're
about?
not doing anything.
It's
The other
not
guy's
about-
running a
It's not
business.
about it being a
And you
business.
want to know something
It's
too?
not about it being a
He's
business.
going to have more power and influence than you
It's not about
because
it being a business.
he's got more people working for him.
It is not about it being a business. It's the fact that we have a good, and in order for you to get that good, you have to provide a service. That's all it is. And now, instead, what you've done is you've shown that you don't actually like capitalism. Because here's a perfect example of people engaging in the privatized ownership over the means of production, which would be the coconuts and the water. Those would be the means of production. And instead of going, yes, I'm going to engage in this system because I believe it is the more ethical system, which it is. If you take it from me, you're stealing technically. But instead you're going, no, I am going to try to take it from you. I am going to steal. I'm going to go against capitalism.
I would
Why?
never steal.
If you take my coconuts and water, you stole from me.
You're not a society. This is a one person hoarding the coconuts because he's trying to be a douchebag.
Does that mean you didn't steal from me? Because we're on an island? Does that mean that you didn't commit theft? You still committed theft. You still took
by
something
stealing your coconuts?
You took something that did not belong to you, correct?
It didn't belong to you either.
Oh, there it is. It didn't belong to me either, because the resources necessary for us to live should not be privately owned. Thank you for coming to the TED Talk. It was nice to see you. Woo! It's so simple, bro. It's so simple every time.